Welcome, everyone. Today, we're talking about selling online like a creative genius, which is the name of the book that I wrote. And if you're staying to the end of this webinar, you will not only get that book for staying to the end, but you'll also get links to the slide deck and a special offer. So please hang on, and a lot of you are using the chat feature. That's awesome. That's how you'll ask questions at the end. So don't hesitate to ask questions then. In the meantime, just take notes, and I'll get to all your questions at the end. So all right, we're beginning. Today's webinar is called Selling Online Like a Creative Genius, and in this difficult time that we're in, this global crisis, so many things are moving online. There's just last week, an artist said that she got a call from someone who helped sell her art, and they said a collector wants to buy something, and she said, "Really? Wow, they want to buy now?" She said, "Yeah, they want to buy now because collectors are home like everybody else, and among the other things they can do, because there's not that many, they can shop." So we'll talk more about that. So raise your hand if you want to know what it takes to make a sale online in this crisis, or if it's even okay to sell now. And if you want to learn more about how other respected artists are doing it now. If you yearn for a clear strategy that allows you to navigate the sales process without feeling like you're striking the wrong tone at this moment in history. And of course, you want to do it all, right? Get it all, win it without ever having to send annoying letters to friends about your art for sale. If you're sitting there wondering how I could help or how I could know, let me explain. So I've spent 11 years interviewing now over 1,200 artists and curators from all over the world. And I know what goes on in an artist's brain when they're struggling to sell work online. So this is me, Brainard Carey. I'm an author, educator, and Yale University radio host, and the author of 6 books for artists, some of which you see here. That image is from a book signing at Rizzoli in New York. And the interviews, the books I've written are not just about my experiences. They're also about that, because I've been in the Whitney Biennial and in other shows and have experience in the art world. But they're also drawing from the 1,200 plus interviews that I've done with curators and artists for Yale University Radio. And in those interviews, I ask people about how they're making their work, what they're doing, ask curators the same thing, how they're choosing artists, what they do. And I understand and learn more about how people are developing their careers and exactly what to do. So I draw information from that as well. That's my knowledge base. This is just from someone who's in the group. She's still in the group, Tatiana. And I think this was a review of one of my books. So she's just saying there's a lot of people out there offering artists information, and she found mine incredibly valuable. She's still in the group. She got into a biennial. She keeps doing amazing things, as are many of the students and members of my group. So how do you know you're in the perfect place? So this is for you if you're a serious artist. This is for you if you struggle to sell art online. And this is for you if you're done with websites that say they'll sell your work but don't. And this is for you if you're looking for clear instructions on how to sell your art online without selling your soul, right? This is for you even if you're not the kind of artist that sells work easily, because your art isn't just pretty flowers or decorative, or perhaps you're doing performance work or film or making art about difficult subjects. So let me start by revealing what I think is a painful truth. You've been lied to often, repeatedly, insistently, and shamelessly by marketers and websites that claim you can easily sell your work with them, like any other product. But your art is not like any other product. There are misleading lies like build a store on Shopify and they will come. And if you want to sell, you need to sell yourself. And the most annoying of all is it doesn't matter how good your art is, it's all about marketing. But that's what's kept you wondering what's going on, spending money you don't have on websites, ignored, having no sales, and worse, thinking that you have to do something to sell that you're not capable of. Either you don't have the guts to do it, or the process is so dull and soul-sucking that you'd rather chew on rocks, right? So no more. Now you're here under my wing, under my care, and that alone should make you want to break a big sigh of relief because I have proof of what I'm saying. And we're going to get into all the details of this whole process as well. So there's first the reset button. This is where I'll turn what you know about art sales online around so you just sit there with a happy look on your face. And this is where you can take it all, where you literally get to take my Praxis system for selling art without selling out and make it your own. So you never have to listen to e-commerce websites tell you why you can't sell without being an aggressive salesperson, which is a lie. Insider information is here. Prepare to be blown out of your chair and into a new world where you generate sales online without selling your soul. So here's my promise to you. You'll walk out of this webinar knowing exactly what it takes to make a sale and how some of the top artists are doing it today. So you can start generating sales online and build a base of collectors in the next 12 months, even if you get a sinking feeling in your stomach when you think of sales, and even if we are in a pandemic. And the best part, you won't feel like a sellout artist who is shallow and only interested in sales. And here are some of the other gems you'll discover, which I wrote about earlier this week and sent you letters on. A counterintuitive technique successful artists like Jorge Pardo use to generate sales and move forward without having to worry about the constant inner critic that undermines their efforts. The nuances of pricing, how much and where to put the pricing. Discover the price secret that you know artists are using, like Peter Lick, that collectors are using to pull out their checkbooks, and what never to say online, how reputations are ruined and savings get drained. How to communicate with collectors of your work and encourage without selling them to buy more, so you can build relationships that continue to buy from you. How the most sophisticated artists create automated sales and generate new customers by making what's called a sales funnel. And using this strategy, customers keep coming to you and relationships are always being built. And why you need to teach collectors how to purchase your art so they can interact with you without any awkwardness. Instead of walking away, right? Because they're too embarrassed to ask about the price. I should also mention that you will get a copy of my book, Sell Online Like a Creative Genius, if you stay to the end. So first, let's talk about wiping the slate clean. Why do we have to wipe the slate clean? Well, first, there's the danger of the wrong method. So first, the wrong method. Trying to sell with the wrong method simply results in no sales and frustration, right? Wasted time. The wrong resource creates, if you're using a sales platform so people can purchase, can be a costly mistake, wasting time on websites and promotions and figuring it all out, right? Execution. If your sales strategy is not executed correctly, right, you won't reap the benefits that you should, and then sales don't happen. So here's some proof. Abby Ryan sold over a case history I use in other lectures, sold over 200,000 per year through eBay from her home in upstate New York. You should never have heard of Abby Ryan. Jorge Pardo is a much more well-known and international artist, but you may never have heard of him either. There are artists making, major incomes that you've never heard of. So an estimated 5.4 billion in art was sold online in 2017 alone. The art market's changing. Social media has become the primary way consumers discover art, even more so now. According to a study, the survey found that nearly a quarter of art buyers, and this was last year, found their new works via social media, somehow online, which edged out museums 20% and galleries 15% as buyers' primary source of discovery. But if you're still not convinced, there's also the dangers. When Donna Hammerstone tried to sell art using a website that had e-commerce abilities, she ended up frustrated and disappointed in her friends and collectors because she used the advice of the website and nothing else. James Dolvin used eBay to sell his art like Abby Ryan was doing and grew angry and disenchanted because no one was bidding. So he stopped selling art altogether. Collectors still want to buy, when a gallery sold the work of one artist last week in the middle of March 2020, just a week ago, the artist was surprised and asked, but they want to buy now? And the dealer told her that yes, collectors are home now too, and they're anxious and they're shopping to make themselves feel better. And since art is what they love, they can do it all online with ease, right? Things get shipped to them. It's very easy. So to be clear, the next time you feel like blaming yourself for failing to generate sales online, remember, not all of that is your fault. It can be a difficult system to navigate with ease and without stress. But today, we will remove the stress and difficulty and create a system that will allow you to sell your art without selling out. It's my method for selling art online. So here we go, everyone. This is where I explain it all in details. In careful details, and I'll drill down on a number of these things, but I've developed a strategy I call the Praxis system for selling art without selling out, which will show you how to generate sales online and build a base of collectors in as little as 12 months, even if you get a sinking feeling in your stomach when you think of sales. I'm going to go through this process, and it's a process that I've been using for several years in Praxis Center, which is an online classroom and support system for artists. And so much of what I've also learned and I'm presenting, I've seen happen, within Praxis Center School. So it's not just people I've interviewed or other things that I've done. It's also what's happening with students and members of Praxis Center that have taught me an enormous amount, how they're using the materials, how they improve on the materials and add their own flavor to it. So step one is building a list of collectors, right? This is essential. Your email list is your most important resource. It cannot be a list, it's your important tool, it's your tool for building sales online. Most people have no idea how to buy or collect art, and it can't be a list of other artists and family, but instead people who are actually interested in in buying and collecting art. So the most important aspect of this process, selling online, is to build a list, right? That means you need to have at least an email marketing program. Now, some of you have it, some of you don't, but it's also how you're using that program, what you're getting out of it. An example of those programs are MailChimp. I use Aweber, Constant Contact, there's Infusionsoft, tons of them. MailChimp is one of the more popular ones, not necessarily the best, but they're getting better all the time, but they're very popular because they offered free accounts up to 500 emails. I think now it's up to 1,000 or 2,000 for free. But it's essential that you choose one of these. It's how you're going to not only keep your list of collectors, always at your fingertips, but it's how you're going to keep in touch with them. That's what's really important. So once you have an email marketing program, let's say it's MailChimp, you can begin to collect names in several ways. You can make videos about collecting art and how to buy from an artist. I mean, there's a number of ways to do this now, which I'll talk more about, but you can make videos about collecting art because you don't want more artists on your list. You want more collectors specifically. You can write small blog posts about how to collect art and buy from an artist. And once those are written, and these are blog posts, these are newsletters, these are videos, whatever you feel comfortable with. We go through a lot of this in Praxis Center, but once those are written, you can generate what's called a lead magnet on Facebook and have people sign up for collecting tips. So emails are just coming in automatically every day. You can send a newsletter to your list on a weekly basis and share tips on collecting and talking to artists about sales. Because I'll get more into this, but you'd be surprised at how collectors just don't know how to even approach artists and ask for something. And I'm talking about collectors who aren't major figures in the art world. I'm talking about new collectors, people who make plenty of money, doctors, lawyers, other professionals, but they're not sure how to go about even asking an artist online if they sell something, because it's not nearly as clear for most artists as it is for every other product, like jewelry or other things. So here's somebody in the group that's just talking about how she received a commission portrait. This is all online, was so pleased. She got a tip online, and he wants me to be in touch, and she has the beginning of her email list of buyers. So, she completed her list of buyers. That is beginning to work for her, and that's how it works. This is feedback from students that have done it. In Praxis Center, members have their newsletters reviewed, from writing blog posts to pulling in collectors, so you have support the whole way and detailed attention to what you're doing. So the step 2 is interacting with those collectors, right? What do you do when you have their email or their attention, or they've said, I'm interested in something? Well, one is you write to those collectors every week. You want to communicate with collectors of your work and encourage them without selling them, to buy more, so you can build relationships that continue to buy from you. And I'm not talking about just newsletters going out every week. You could do that, or every 2 weeks, whatever's comfortable for you. But it's not just about, buy this, or this is for sale, this is for sale. It's about building a relationship. Art is a very beautiful and precious thing. It's not like anything else in the world. That's why it's not like another commodity or product. There's, a lot of love, and your soul is going into this, your intentions, your message. And so, when someone collects the work, they need to understand that. They're not just buying a beautiful piece of art. They're buying a message. They're buying, a way of thinking, feeling. They're buying something that can change their lives. It's quite powerful. And they need to learn about that. And that's what museums are always teaching collectors and other people, educating collectors. So to begin with, you engage collectors online. You can use email or Facebook Messenger to dialogue with your collectors who will be asking questions about your work. So one tip is to show them a page of your work, and discuss the work with them by asking which one is their favorite. That's the main thing. And I'll go through this process, but it's simple, right? They look at a page of work, and you're messaging them or going back and forth, and you say, pick out your favorite. What's your favorite on this page? I'm just curious. Because even without talking, they can usually say, oh, that one, number 3. And then tell them why that's special, compliment them, tell them about how the work was made, the medium, and if appropriate, the message, and offer them a payment plan as well. Here's one way, part of that method that I just mentioned was used to me in person, in a gallery. And this is how it's done online in a gallery. But I walked into a gallery with my wife, and there was some Salvador Dali prints on a wall in these kind of big frames. And there were prints, I think a series of engravings that he did that were editioned, and then they were re-editioned or something. But we looked around quickly. It was interesting, but not amazing. And we started walking out of the gallery. And before we left the gallery, I said, oh, wait, excuse me, can I ask you a question? That was it. Can I ask you a question? So we turned around, looked in. What's the response to that? We're not going to say, no, you can't ask me anything. I suppose we could, but most people wouldn't. And I said, yes, what is it? She said, which one is your favorite? Just what I was telling you, right? She said, out of the whole show, which one was your favorite? So, made me stop and think for a minute. And I pointed to one. I said, oh yeah, that one right over there. That's my favorite. And so she said, wait, can I tell you a little bit about that? So I agreed. So now we're back in the gallery, and we're in front of an engraving by Salvador Dali. And she said, well, this is a special engraving, as is this whole series, because in this one, and it was sort of, you couldn't really tell what was going on. There was a lot of lines. It was very abstract, and it's not like you saw figures in there. But she started pointing out, oh, there's figures in here, and this represents Dali, and this represents, his wife, that would soon be his wife, Gala, and this is about the bishop there. And he said Dali was very upset because he couldn't be married in the church again because he had been divorced, and he was very angry, and this was about that. And I thought, wow, that's kind of fascinating, right? So I'm drawn into it. I'm thinking, yeah, that's really kind of interesting. And then she said, Mick Taylor, the people who have these engravings are all in a group, and we invite them to openings at different times. And Mick Taylor is one of them. And I was thinking, like, who's Mick Taylor? It sounds famous, but I'm not sure. And she said, would you like this? And I said, I like the piece, now that you talked about it. And she said, well, for $300, it's yours. And I said, $300? And she said, well, $300 down. And then we can work out payments, whatever you want. And it could be in your home, very soon. And I looked at it again and I thought, wow, could this huge Dali thing be in my home? I didn't buy it, but that's an example of going through it. So you can easily use the case history I just told you with what I mentioned earlier. You engage your potential collector this way. You can start by messaging and then call them to talk, ideally, and finish the sale with a first payment from, I use paypal.me, because instead of giving them your PayPal address, you want them to just click and send the money. It's got to be so easy, you know. Um, so then instead of a gallery wall, they would be looking at a web page of art or a PDF document of your art. If they say, and this happens, let me ask my husband first, or let me ask my wife first, because that happens in sales. If you want to reply to that, one that I heard recently that I thought was very good was, why not surprise them? You can always exchange the work if you're not happy with it. And that's powerful too, to always offer, you want to exchange the work, you can exchange the work. That's fine. Just have a policy. Some people say you can exchange it as long as you're buying up. Some people say you can always exchange it for the same value. So that's up to you, but that makes buyers feel comfortable as well. And I just want to make clear to everybody, I'll answer every single one of your questions at the end of this webinar, because you're seeing this live, and I'll answer every single question about any details and any of this at the end. So just write them down and I'll get to all of them. So more sales strategies. Jorge Pardo is an artist that's had major shows all over the world. He makes paintings, drawings, lamps, installations. He kind of moves between art and design, and does whatever he wants. Has had major museum shows everywhere, as well as gallery shows in some of the biggest galleries in New York. So what he did was, he thought, why don't I start a subscription program? I interviewed him on Yale Radio. That's how I learned all of this. And what his subscription was, he said, you know, people like getting things in the mail each month, like surprises, could be wine or books. Those are common, even more common now, right? Everything's being shipped to us, if anything. But he thought, why can't that be art? Why couldn't I ship them art monthly or every 6 months? So he offered his email list. He did an experiment. He said, I'm going to offer a $600 subscription, and it'll renew twice a year. That means it's $600 for 6 months. And what do you get for $600 from Jorge Pardo for 6 months, who's an artist that sells work for thousands of dollars, tens of thousands? Well, he wanted to make a new kind of lamp. And the way he made the lamp was, he took plywood, he had it laser cut, made a pattern so that, you know, the plywood was like a kit. It came together, and then you assembled the whole thing, and it was a lamp, you know, designed by him. It's interesting, right? And so one of the issues is like, but they don't know what they're getting. That's right, it's a surprise, but it'll be interesting. So the first year he got 30 subscribers at $600, you know, that's $18,000. If they stay on, which he said most of them did, that's times 2, right? That's $36,000 from 30 people getting a surprise in the mail. The next year, he told me, he got 90 subscribers. That's $54,000 in 6 months. And then another $54,000 because their subscription renews. It's $108,000 a year. You know, he hired people to help him, an assistant to help, you know, ship and package and deal with any questions from people who got them, you know, because the lamp initially, he told me, was kind of hard to assemble. People couldn't figure out how to do it, and the instructions weren't that good. So he made a little video that says, okay, here's how to put it together. You know, artists can be creative about anything, right? So then the next is engaging collectors. This may seem really counterintuitive, but you have to teach them how to buy. You need to teach collectors how to purchase your art so they can interact with you without any awkwardness. It saves you awkwardness, it saves them awkwardness, right? Because otherwise they can walk away because they're too embarrassed to ask about the price. And I know you know, initially artists think like, why would that be? But you haven't been in the position of a collector, and you know that it's okay to ask an artist, but a collector also knows that artists are pretty sensitive. They're not like other people. You can just feel this vibe right away, right? Artists are sensitive. You say something wrong, like, I don't really like that one. You know, that's awkward and can upset the artist. That wouldn't upset someone, let's say, in a jewelry store or a furniture store. But an artist, it's very personal. So that's why you really want to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So collectors are afraid to ask, how much is it? Because they think they might insult the artist. You know, for all the members in Praxis Center, this part of the process is made easy. You'll walk through it step by step, and each step is reviewed to make sure there are no weak links in your process. So step 3 is closing the sale, right? You want to make it easy to buy your work, because I was saying most collectors are afraid to ask the price. One artist in Praxis Center said he sat down with someone who actually came to his studio, and then he met this person in a bar, knew he was fabulously wealthy. He was trying to sell work to them, and he began talking about selling his work. And the collector said to him at the bar, who he's really trying to work on, he said, you know, you make it very hard to buy work from you. He was like, what? Well, you know, he was shocked. How could he say that? You see how it's like, this is human nature. We sometimes miss each other entirely. You know, he's made all these appointments with a guy to come to his studio, talked about work, and now they're even at a bar, but he can't figure out how to buy work. You know, so your price, the way you do it is you have to let them know, and I'll go more into closing a sale. You have to let them know what the price is, just like that gallerist told me, whether it's online or not. Do you like that one? You know, that's a very special piece. You know, and then tell them more about it. Would you like to own that piece? You have to be direct. You know, yes, maybe. I'm not sure. You know, because they're not sure of the price. Well, it's $4,000, but you could pay $300 down. Does that sound good? Well, yeah, you know, they might say that does sound good. And then when do I get the work? When the payments are done. So again, you want to make it easy to buy your work. And that's an example from an artist in Praxis Center who, you know, who was struggling with it because he thought he'd gotten so far. But then the collector has to be taught. So here's one of the ways, and this is also about pricing. Your prices for original works of art, like paintings, drawings, sculptures, installations, murals, commissions, should be based on what you have sold something for in the past. And if you haven't made sales in the past, it should cover your expenses and shipping and pay you at least an amount that you will feel comfortable accepting. Then as you sell more, prices can rise by 10% each time. However, there's also more aspects to pricing techniques. And here's a case study. Allison was talking about a portrait commission. In this case, she said, make me an offer, which she was afraid to say the price. And she ended up, and she said this time she kept quiet and she was offered double the price she had in mind. She was more than happy to top it off. Another commission was discussed. She says, thanks, Brainerd, for your support and advice, which gave her confidence and belief in her work, because that's critical, right? Misty, another active member in the group, still there. You'd meet her if you're a member. The show was a great success. I even got to meet some folks from this group at her show from Praxis. She means I'm working on getting an image list and web page up, also dealing with a few folks who want to buy, watching the live lesson on how to price. First piece I sell is going towards a website. I hadn't even built a website yet, and she was doing very well. So where to put pricing is a question I hear a lot. On each image, in a separate page. Galleries rarely list prices, right? You go into most galleries, a good gallery, and usually you don't see the prices. If you're interested, they will hand you a list, right, that have the prices on them, usually with an artist's bio on the back or something. Price on request is standard because first you want to allow interest, right? You don't want to scare people off with a price too high, and you don't want to scare people off with a price too low. So they can both drive people away. There are exceptions, but generally I would say the rule is, and I'm going to talk about an exception next, don't put prices up. Say on paintings on websites, click here if you're interested, you know, if, you know, ask me a question about this painting, or I love this painting, something like that. And then an email opens up and they can send you an email. So pricing and closing sales, again, exceptions to the rule of not having prices listed everywhere on your website or blog is the following: eBay sales or other online auctions, print editions or multiples, and special editions that benefit a cause. So those are 3 exceptions. And let's talk about editions. So for photography and print editions of any kind, it doesn't matter whether you're a performance artist or a painter or photographer, everybody can make print editions, and people do All kinds of artists make print editions, filmmakers, because it's a way to sell visual work. So Peter Lik is, again, probably a photographer you've never heard of, right? But he's the best-selling photographer in America. So photography and print editions of any kind, there's a tried and true sales method that most galleries and artists use. So for example, in a limited edition of, let's say, 100 prints, and you can do this whether they're digital prints out of your computer or lush, big, photographic prints. Photographs of digital work, the price would work like this. So print 1 to 20. So all the prints are numbered, number 1, number 2, and signed and numbered. Number 1 to 20, let's just say, is $150 each. Then prints 21 to 40 are $200 each. They're just going up by $50 just because they're later in the prints. But you can't buy, you have to buy them in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Prints 41 to 60 are now $300 each, double the original value. Print 61, number 61 to number 80 is $450, and print 81 to 100 is $600, 4 times their original value, right? 4 times. And the powerful thing is that you've never heard of Peter Lik. So I heard of him because, and that's a way of editioning, because the New York Times did a huge article on him a few years ago and was talking about how he's made so much money. In fact, he sold this photograph, the most a photograph has ever been sold for $6.5 million. So, this wasn't an editioned photograph that he sold. This was a unique print. But he actually used this very print. This is kind of colored. He used this very print, and sold it in other forms. But this one form, this large form, 6.5 million. I mean, what that did for him, honestly, was give him literally a binder of press on him and this at one point. And the New York Times even wrote an article. They were actually, in a way, kind of saying he was making too much money, too easily, because what Peter Lik was doing, was doing it himself as an artist, and he used this price scaling method exactly. So initially he tried to sell with galleries, didn't work to his, liking. So then he sold work out of his studio, and then he began to train people in this process, which is first prints are 1 to 100. You tell the collectors, or 1 to 20. You tell the collectors they're this amount, and if they don't want to buy it now, waiting is going to cost them money, right? Because if they come back in a week and they're up to print 21, oh, now it's cost more. But also your print has literally gone up in value, right? So so that worked for him, and he didn't make that up. That's what galleries are doing all over the world. And that was the print for $6.5 million. And one other thing is you can also offer buyers a money-back guarantee, which takes all the pressure off the buyer feeling like they're not sure. Because part of selling this, and anything, and you can look up all these people to do research on Peter Lik and Jorge Pardo, but part of all of this is, are you sure? Imagine as a buyer, you're buying work from an artist, from you, and they've never heard of you or the work before. It's they're not sure. So how do you get them over just that little, I don't know, my wife likes it too, or my husband likes it, but I'm not sure. You can offer buyers a money-back guarantee, which takes all the pressure off the buyer of feeling like they're not sure. Tell them to live with it. See how they feel about it. Most people never return a work of art, and this offer will make more sales than returns. Now, you don't give them the artwork and say, check it out and buy it if you want it. They buy it. It goes on their wall. If you want your money back, ask me anytime. You don't have to do that policy if you're uncomfortable with that. You can say, if you ever want to exchange it, you can at any time. Just come to my studio. And that's actually a great thing. If they keep exchanging work, they'll probably buy one that's more expensive. But that helps. Shipping's never included, of course, in returns. And you can also, this policy is up to you, but you can offer the buyer an exchange if they buy up. That means if they want to trade in their work for one that's at least 50% more in cost, they can do that at any time because the work never loses its value. So have a policy. And the methods I've discussed so far, there's more, are using your own website to sell your art, as well as Messenger and the phone to close sales, and MailChimp to build your list. But what about Instagram, eBay, and other platforms, right? Because they're all out there. So Abby Ryan, who I mentioned earlier, sells over 200,000 a year on eBay. Her method is that she posts, it's very simple, a small painting every day, 4 by 4 inch painting, a little still life. After almost 2 years, she started selling each one for $600 each. Not an extraordinary sum, but $600 every day sure adds up. That's the 200 a year. K. She does it all through eBay sales channels, and she ships directly. Now, the hard thing that you don't see in that paragraph that I wrote there is the fact that she posted one every single day all year long. And for the first year, not many people were bidding. And when they did bid, it went for so little that she didn't sell it. Like she had a reserve. So if it's under $100 or under 50, I'm not going to ship it, right? It's cost me money. So, they were selling for just little bits, but weren't selling, but consistently every single day was relisting things and always making these little still lifes. And the still lifes, by the way, was a technique she learned in a class by an artist named David Leffel, who taught many other people that I actually know who make these very specific still lifes that look a little like Dutch still lifes, a very specific technique. But anyway, I'm just saying it wasn't this extraordinary technique. It was something that a lot of other people have used. It's what it was, a little still life technique. In any case, it was the consistency with which she did it, and the fact that she didn't give up after half a year or more. And so, that's, sometimes you need someone to hold yourself accountable to do that. And that's partly what Praxis Center does, is hold you accountable. Instagram, if you're in it, Instagram Ashley can be great. Ashley Longshore, someone you may or may not know, another artist who sells things for upwards of $20,000 through Instagram. But her method is with press releases and phone calls. It's not just buy this, but it's that this is for sale. If you're interested, I'm starting to accept calls starting at noon today, something like that. She also sends out press releases about it and likes to tell magazines, I don't need galleries. Galleries are dead. It's all online now. That's a good storyline, right? It's not just Ashley Ryan is selling art. She has a story, which is, which I'm not saying I agree with entirely, but she's saying galleries are going to be gone in the future. It's all online now. It's a provocative idea. And then they write about her. She posts a lot of kind of colorful, outrageous things about that too. But in any case, there's just recently, she had a show that I saw in New York. It was actually this past winter. And she went into a design shop, a well-known designer, Diana Vreeland, and said, basically, could I put some art on the walls in here? And they're kind of like, what? She said, well, yeah, my art, I'm kind of about, beauty and everything. And she just went for it, and she wasn't a model. Ashley Longshore is actually quite overweight, and says and talks about how she feels fine about that, and how you have to love yourself as you are. It's a very attractive kind of point of view, and so she got a show in that store, and they did little videos. She made little Instagram videos of her and like the model Iman and Diana Vreeland, and I'm sure she sold lots more work there as well from the press, and probably to those two right there. So there's always questions and opportunities and missing pieces, right? What if, and I'll answer all your questions today, but there's always more as you do this process. There's always other methods and how to reply, and this is how the group works. People reply right in the group. Christine made a catalog of her work. She does work that looks like icon. She studied an ancient technique, but she's a contemporary artist, right? She made a little book of her paintings. I think there's several hundred of them in there, quite a lot. And she made it an ebook that was downloadable on Amazon. And you have a period in Amazon where you can give away something. So she gave away those books, and that was a way for her to gain access to more people. Because right in the book, it says, if you'd like to know more, check out my mailing list, sign up. People were signing up through that. Kind of a great technique. And again, it doesn't cost her anything. Book's available on Amazon. People are downloading it for free, and then they want to get on her mailing list. And they're interested because now they have a little online catalog of your work. Kind of beautiful process. So remember the story I told you about the gallerist trying to sell me a Salvador Dali print? She mentioned Mick Taylor. Maybe you wonder, like, and he owns an exclusive print, and he might be at exclusive parties in the future. You know, she was trying to make me feel like I'm going to be in with an in crowd kind of thing, right? And there's something attractive and sexy about that. Like, oh, it's going to be celebrities there, you know? This can happen on Zoom nowadays too, a live talk on Zoom. So your Mick Taylor could be a friend who's known, could be a local hero or a political figure, mayor of a town, head of a, you know, police department, something like that, head of the hospitals, you know, and you could give a work to someone like that and always invite them. And therefore they're in the circle. You have it. You can say that. Your collector may not even know the name, but you can tell them why this person has some glam appeal. You know, it would have been good if they told me who Mick Taylor was, perhaps, but maybe not, because I just thought, well, it sounds like a rock star, as it is. So as a member of Praxis Center, you'll get feedback on this critical step, which includes a review of your pricing structure, how the work is sold, so that the buyer feels he or she is getting a great deal. You can do this on your own, of course, but if you want questions answered and guidance every step of the way, Praxis Center has your back. So now you understand steps 1 through 3 that I've discussed, right? Of course, there are more details in those steps, but I have more ground to cover, and I don't want to keep you here all day. But now you understand and could use the methods I described, right? The next step is making that happen automatically, okay? The dreaded funnel. Now, and I got to tell you, you don't have to do this automatically. Absolutely not. Everything that I just mentioned, you can do once a day. But for those of you who want to get through the terrible fear of the word funnel and automation, you know, this is how it works. With all the steps I mentioned, the result you want is this: to get a customer to text you or send you a message through Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp, or whatever messaging app you prefer. You want people to be asking you every day about the price of something or another question about your art. You're doing this all online, from home, of course. A message or inquiry is what's called a warm lead in sales technology, right? A warm lead, someone who's interested, right? That's cool. So the methods we've talked so far generate that by all the methods we've talked about. But if you want to automate it, this is the process. Because the biggest mistake you can make at this point is, you know, automation. Everyone thinks, yeah, I'd like it to all happen automatically to keep sales coming in, right? But the very biggest mistake you can make right away is to pay for ads on Facebook or Google to develop warm leads for your art without doing steps 1, 2, and 3. You don't need to do it long, even if you have 0 people on your list now. In 3 to 6 months, you could have 1 through 3, steps 1 through 3 done. And in 6 to 12 months, you could have sales coming in automatically. I want to just be clear about the timeline of this. It's an advanced technique. So let me explain. And I'm laying out that timeline so you don't rush into automation. And it won't work if everything isn't set up. But here it is. You have a process you're following in steps 1 to 3. And that's build a list of collectors, engage those collectors, close a sale, right? That's the process. Automation means these things happen automatically through online sites. The collectors are built, they're engaged, and sales are closed by generating messages to you. So automation means those things happen through online ads. Your ad is what's called a lead magnet that starts the process. You are going for a walk or making art while all this is happening. So to step back a little bit, automating sales is called a funnel. That's the term. And here's what a typical funnel looks like. There's a lead magnet, an ad. The ad could say, you know, tips on how to collect art, you know, something nice, something transparent. No one wants to see, you know, an ad that isn't just what it is, you know, be honest, you know, what it is. And then they click on the ad, they'd like more, they'd like to sign up to your newsletter, let's say about tips for collecting art. That gives you their email, or they message you directly, because you can also run an ad that says message me, and you just get a message right away. Pre-written, then a newsletter email is sent to them, or a retargeted ad. That means an email goes out right to them that says, thanks for joining my list. You're not doing this. You know, you already wrote it in MailChimp or whatever, goes right back to them like an auto reply, and just begins welcoming them and building a relationship. You can also do something called the retargeted ad, so that an ad, they see another ad from you. But that's a little more advanced, even the retargeted ad. But you can have people do this for you too. Inquiries about buying come in regularly then, because the ad's working and it's generating either messages to you or it's generating, something else, emails from people who are signing up to your list. And then sales are closed online through messages and phone call and shipped. Because you really want to talk to someone. It's not like everything just the art starts shipping out by himself. It's personal still, and they want to buy from you. So with automating sales at Praxis Center, you'll have tutorials about building a funnel, and there's an expert in the classroom that can answer all your funnel questions. You can do this on your own as well, but the complexity of automating sales is often intimidating, right? And you need to be held accountable, otherwise you won't do it. You got better things to do, right? But when it works, it's exciting. You have an income coming in from home. So, Praxis has you covered there. If you need any support, every step of the way, they're there. And my book also, that you'll get at the very end of this, also outlines tactics for doing this, and you'll get the book. But the support of Praxis Center will help the journey greatly, because whenever you have a question or get stuck, I'm there. I'm there for you. I'll answer your questions, as will other people. So step 5 is the business mindset, like setting up for business, right? Taking it all very seriously. Attitude and mantras. I mean, some of you do that already, I'm sure already, but if not, when you start getting afraid of things or in a zone that's uncomfortable, you're going to need this. And for a lot of artists, selling, even when it works, is uncomfortable. Getting sales every day or people interested every day, it's like, that's success, ironically, is sometimes hard to accept initially. That's what the business mindset is about. And also watching competition, other galleries, see how they're also bringing in people online, because they're in the same business as you, right? Galleries are looking to attract more collectors. They're also running ads and all kinds of things, and you can see what they're doing. Setting up for business is the mindset, right? Having the parts in order, that your email service needs to be activated so that you can have people sign up to your list. It sounds simple, but creating a sign-up form so people automatically go to a list and when they came in and they get an email is really important. You need ads that reach an audience that's interested, right? That's what you have to focus on. Like, who's my group? The ability to close a sale and receive a payment. These are the things that you need to do that are maybe hurdles, like in your mind, but they're really not that hard to do. It's the same process. It's not like you're bearing your soul every time, though that's often what it feels like, right? So then again, attitude and mantras. The essential tool of anyone trying to make a sale is attitude, and how to reprogram negative voices of internal challenges. When you face adversity, when you're uncomfortable, when you think all of this sounds cool, but I don't feel like doing it, that's part of mantras and attitude. And there's a lot of support for that too in Praxis Center, which I'll tell you about at the end if you want to be part of it. But the business mindset is also, again, watching the competition. Who are they? Who's selling online now, and how are they doing it? It's other galleries, look how they're doing it, how all their materials. What if you want to buy something from the gallery? Maybe they're on Artsy or other places, but they're not only on Artsy. And individual artists and galleries do it. So look at the things that are out there. So here it is, right? Behold, we just went through this whole thing. And I know it's now you understand what's going on. You don't have to do the funnel part if you want. If you don't want, you can do the rest manually. But so your head's exploding, right? And you're wondering, can you do that? I know it sounds a bit out there. All of this is a lot, but allow me to introduce some Praxis students. These are a few videos from students that have talked about the resources they use, because people always ask me, what do other people say? And there's a lot of classes in Praxis Center on grants and raising money and selling art and all kinds of things, corporate patrons. So here's let me just play you a few videos so you can hear from them directly.
Hello there, I am Kusal Fuschetti. I'm a London-born artist and I do abstract painting. I use Brainerd's Praxis Center for quite a few years while I was based in LA, and it was incredibly helpful for me as an artist and how to approach galleries and museums even, and acquire patrons in a way that wasn't they weren't going to say no, and it was just so incredible for my career. I have more confidence now. I'm currently back in London and I'm doing my MA, which I'm really excited about. And honestly, Brainerd has been so incredible and so helpful and communicative with me and with all of the artists. And I really highly recommend his service. Thank you, Brainerd.
And it's always good to have different people. This is Jonathan Herbert.
Hi, I'm the artist Jonathan Herbert. I have benefited greatly from the courses and the community of Brainerd Carey's Praxis Center. I have moved forward in terms of exhibits, sales, grant applications, social media marketing, and press. These major breakthroughs I credit to the courses and community of Praxis Center and my own hard efforts. The unparalleled resources of Praxis make it the one-stop resource for artists to move their art out into the world. I am one happy customer.
So, and I have one more of these. It's not easy for artists. People always ask me, oh, I want to hear from someone who's in the group, and so I ask for these. But you can see it's not easy for the artists either to get in front of a camera and talk about why it went well. Working with me and Praxis Center. This is Jeannie Motherwell. She also didn't feel comfortable about doing it, but said, "Yeah, it was great. Of course, I want to help you." And so, her father was Robert Motherwell. Her mother was Helen Frankenthaler. She was using Praxis Center to apply for grants.
Hi there. My name is Jeannie Motherwell, and when I was applying for a Guggenheim last year, the resources and ongoing support I received from Brainerd Carey's Praxis Center, as well as the community of artists and the courses that were offered to me, were invaluable in giving me the necessary tools to complete and submit a comprehensive application. I continue to paint and exhibit in several galleries, and I think Praxis Center is a wonderful resource for artists at all levels of their studio practice, from emerging to mid-career and to mature. I can honestly say it's a wonderful community and resource for artists.
So, what's powerful also about that is the community, which Crystal talked about in the beginning, but the community, and so people also ask, how much time does it take, right? I don't have that much time. So typically an artist in the school sees rapid progress in a year. Just working 30 minutes a week is what I suggest. I'm not going to read this out, but it's an interesting one. Kim had to deal with health issues. She's taught part-time, 6 days a week, had very little limited time to spend on this. But she said not less than a week after she joined Praxis, she had an invitation from one of the most respected gallerists and a curator. So look, it's easy to follow, I think, as a recipe for roasting a chicken. You get video walkthroughs, questions answered every step of the way, as well as examples to follow. All you have to do is fill them out. It's almost all done for you. So there's personal feedback, like really personal. I'll personally review your website and give you tips on how to make it look its best for applications you're working on. This all happens in the Facebook group, but also I'll send you a video.
So as I was saying, this is a way to get your website.
I'll send you a video. Sorry about that. Which looks like this. I made this little recording about what happens when you fill out a little questionnaire, and then I give you feedback that's more specific to what you're doing.
Hey, Larry. Thanks for submitting the questionnaire. I just wanted to give you some feedback and say hello. So Larry, I know some of this.
So I won't go into all the advice that I gave him, but I just wanted to show you that's how it works. You get personal video from me at the beginning to talk about strategy. You'll actually get one video right away when you join, but also there's more, and then you'll get a strategy video that's just for you, and also a visit your studio. So no matter where your studio is in the world, from Amsterdam to California or anywhere in the world, I do studio visits with other artists. You'll also be in their studio too. And it doesn't matter if your studio's on your kitchen table. Here's the beginning of one.
The studio
And you'll see all the other studio groups, but this happens all the time, and I'll visit your studio within the month if you join. It's a way of showing off your studio and really getting direct feedback from me.
Let's begin with you. Where are you? And let's talk about your studio and what you have in there. Where are you?
I live in Laurel Canyon in Los Angeles, where all the rock stars used to live in the 60s. And it's a little tiny community in LA, 2-bedroom. I'm a single parent of a child with Down syndrome. And if he's not with me, he's with his dad. So luckily I co-parent, and when I'm not with him, I make stuff. So this is it's like a sunroom that I've taken over and made into my art studio. You can see there's a little red cabinet across there.
So I won't go into it too much more, but her work's right there in her living room. It's just beautiful work, and that's how it works. And you'll meet artists like this. So I'll be able to come to your studio and see your work when you're ready. Doesn't have to be this month, could be next month. Sign up now, watch other artists if you want to. But all it takes is to have a little faith, and those who have the faith in themselves and take the leap are rewarded also with exhibits and patrons and grants, and press and sales. And maybe it seems impossible. So here's just a few more people. Patricia saying confirmation of my first sponsor donation because we raise money there. Lynette talks about the value of exhibiting at nonprofits. But her intaglio was for sale. Her print was selected for an exhibit, and it sold for more than $1,200, the most she ever sold a work for. And that wasn't her intention to sell then, but she was engaging in some activities that were working. Laura got $1,500 using this letter, and then she'll show you the letter that she used because I have templates in there for raising money, which I'll tell you about soon. But she was raising money because she wants to spend a year in the studio fully funded. Hope got press in Scottish Times through a press release that she worked on through Praxis Center. Barbara Peacock sold 5 prints to the Judas Elliott Glickman and Lauder collection. It was through an exhibit that she had there, and the curator showed them a body of work, and she sold work. And she's looking forward to learning more about galleries, museums, and patrons. She just did one aspect of what's in there. Lanth got 400 in donations, and you'll meet these people. These are all real people in the groups. Now he's off to write more letters. But Lanth was raising money and then ended up selling a drawing without even thinking that that's what he was going to do. Because you're involved, and when you get involved, more things happen. So if you want to wake up to an automated funnel sending you a message from 5 interested buyers, or start your day by making art instead of business stuff on social media because several sales came through, or that patron donation covered most of the expenses, have lunch with a collector who wants to talk about a commission, or go to bed satisfied, feeling like you're getting the recognition that you deserve. Go through a week with more time in the studio, less resentment, because people are believing in you and proving it by buying your work or being a patron. I want that for you right here, right now. So I want to introduce Praxis Center membership, everything you need to make it in the art world in one place, as some of those students were even saying on video. And then I'm going to answer all your questions about anything, including this if you're interested. So there's classes and personal support to navigate the art world and sell your art. There's and so many more things, and there's a community there. And you'll get personal feedback from me. There's 9 online courses so you can learn how the art world really works, from the comfort of your home at your own pace without paying for travel and lodging. So this is what Nicole had to say about online courses. So excited to have signed up. It's already helping me get really organized. Love how you break down the writing parts with assignments, emphasis, examples, and challenges. Okay, now let's look at more courses. Getting your art exhibited is a step-by-step guide to approaching galleries and getting your work shown. There's templates, there's scripts to call, and a virtual classroom where you can ask questions, because now getting feedback from gallerists is often through Skype and FaceTime studio visits. That's what the virtual studio visits that we do through Zoom are to prepare you for, because everyone's doing studio visits online now. Grant writing is how to find, write, and win grant applications. By the end of the course, you'll have a completed grant you can be proud of, and fresh grant lists and opportunities every month. Artist statements and bios, this is really popular, how to write yours so grant agencies, galleries, and journalists can help but write you back. There's an editor that will personally edit your statement and bio. That's That's worth joining right there. You'll get it professionally edited. Social media strategy and web design. You'll get your website reviewed, steps to build it, redesign it, and get discovered with minimal effort. Have a presence online. You know, selling online is what this is about. This webinar, it'll take you through the hand and walk you through the steps that you need to build a sales strategy and automate it. Kickstarter School is all you need to know about launching a successful Kickstarter campaign, including how to contact celebrities, high-profile individuals. There's an employee of Kickstarter giving a talk in that. Time management is another course, because how are you going to do all this stuff, right? There's art, there's all the domestic stuff that we all have to do. About time management, because busy people seem to get a lot done. Taxes and financial planning is a course on that by a tax by an accountant, a bookkeeper. And Art Theory and Essential Reading is a reading course where we all talk about books. We're reading together. So with these industry tactics at your fingertips, you go from, I give up, I'll paint in obscurity, to, wow, this is cool. I'm getting commissions and sales in as little as 1 year. But that's not all. You also get what I call the Insider Artist Lounge, expert lectures on residencies, private dealers, art critics, grant writers. And you know, all this happens in the group. I don't want to read through all these, but this is how people ask and get answers, questions right in a private Facebook group. And the lectures are on, you know, endless amount of topics that relate to professional practice. You know, like some of these, closing a sale, again, exactly how to price, getting the work-life balance right, email marketing, and all of this, so it works for you. You can ask experts questions, and so if you're not sure of the way forward, you can get a question answered. You know, this is how it happens. You can ask them anything from technical difficulties to others, and you often get, you see, there's 16 comments from just people in the group who are helping you. It's a community of artists. So, you know, it's amazing the other opportunities artists are posting. There was an opportunity posted in the group yesterday about a museum that that's giving, you know, artists a show. You just, you know, send in digital work. Fascinating opportunities all the time about other grants that are available to artists, like more than ever now. So there's an artist roundtable. That's every week we have group coaching calls. You can ask me questions every week, live in Zoom. Learn about new grants. I'll highlight things every week. Private access to your an editor for your bio and artist statement. Again, private. You get an editor just to do that for you, so you can stand out from the crowd. It's really popular. You know, don't take my word for it. Here's what David had to say about it. You know, thank you, Brainerd and Julia. That's the editor, for your editing help and suggestions for my bio and statement. It really made a difference and got me moving forward to apply to shows. I've just been accepted to Costa, a group show. And Morgan has another one. You know, she loves how she is no longer intimidated, and it looks good. Lou Jimenez, in this case, Lou almost lost 10,000 because an opportunity that was not in her interest looked very tempting. Ran it by the group and luckily saved a lot of money. So grant and residency lists, new ones are posted every month. There's tons right now because all the art organizations are putting all their money into just support grants for artists. This has never been a bigger bump in grants than right now. Private Facebook group, access to community of artists, art professionals, and teachers, so you don't feel isolated in your practice and get the practical and emotional support you need to thrive as an artist. Because without a support system, you know, what do you have, right? Van Gogh had Theo. You'll get a copy of my book, Making It in the Art World. That's a 260-page book. Looks like this. We got a digital copy of it. It's a big book. And the biggest, you know, bonus for artists who want to feel like very important artists and purchase the VIP edition is the Patrons and Sponsors course. That's where people are raising money. You know, how would things change if you knew how to find the names of local patrons, how to meet them, befriend these people, and create lasting relationships? This is about sponsorship, corporate sponsorship, private sponsorship, without any sales. And in that course, which used to be my signature course only, it was the first one and was extremely successful. So that has a whole separate Facebook page for it, private. but you'll get support for the letters, and there's in templates. You'll get your letters edited, just like I did the personal review before. Remember, you'll get a video from me on your campaign as well. And so, this is an example of an artist, submitting her website review and more. You'll also be in my inner circle. That means you'll get access to all my future books ahead of the public. You'll get advanced digital review copies like the art critics and curators in the author's inner circle. So all this amounts to what? As I've added up, $6,000 a year, $500 a month, but I'm not charging you that, not even a quarter of that, and giving you 10 times more value, I think, more impact, more results, personal studio visits and meetings and group coaching, and all of this material, because those are new. But there's a catch. You can only get this price within the next 5 days. After that, the price goes back to full. So this is what it is. It's $59 a month. So for just 1 month, even, you can have applications done, things in order. A year is $595. You save, about 18% buying a year. So you can get it now for that amount, $595 a year or $59 a month, and get everything I mentioned. You get access to everything right away. There's no waiting for any content. And you can start using it in 60 seconds and start seeing results. And my feeling is, if all this system does is get you the freedom to be, do, or live the way you desire, or get you from toiling away in obscurity to getting the peer recognition and commercial success you deserve, or finally allow you to break free from paying for show and not selling art. Would you agree that $59 a month is a tiny price to pay? It's almost insignificant when you think of how just one sale, or grant would easily justify it. One grant is usually 500 or 1,000 or more. Misty is posting in the group a lot. She said, "This is the first course I've paid for that proved its worth immediately. It has paid for itself like a dozen times already." She's in the group. You'll meet her if you're a member. She's on the monthly plan, $59 a month. So in giving everything you get in your Praxis Center membership, it's you have 3 options at this point. You can choose to hire a high-priced consultant, always an option, pay them thousands with no guarantees. You can choose to do it on your own, and that's fine with no help, but then there's often the silence of sales strategy that's not working. The choice is yours. Now's your chance. Go check it out. Go grab your spot before someone else gets it. Whatever. If you're interested, you can. I should remind you that there's no risk for you to try this. Literally 0 negative consequences, because you can buy without losing your money. You can get there's a 30-day guarantee. Literally, your dignity. We're not going to shame you for refunding. I promise. So you can do what Jonathan did. So you can overcome what Crystal overcame in those videos, and so you can have the support like Jeannie Motherwell did. This is your chance, and now is your time. I want to answer all of your questions now, and I want to give you the links to everything that I promised. Let's see. So you can tell me if you guys see these. Well, they're just there here. You guys can't see all your questions, I think, but you can see mine. So let's see. I'm going to go through all the questions. I want to thank you guys for being part of this. I love this webinar. It's exciting, and because this is a process that artists also like. And now, in this moment, in this difficult time, being online is where it's at. Let's see. Pinterest can be something. Let me see. Are these questions can be interesting to sell artwork in this space? It can generate. Pinterest can, absolutely generate interest like other social platforms can. Absolutely. We can create albums in Pinterest. Yeah. How is this made one on Instagram? How a sale is made on Instagram? It's not through clicking links. Ashley Longshore's, sales, unless you're selling things for very low prices, sales for things that are like 100 or 1,000, you want to exchange a couple emails. You want to do a phone call maybe. So through Instagram as well, you're trying to generate interest and get people to email you. It's not to click a button. Same with Pinterest and a lot of others. Yep, you got the links now, right? Build bottom to a sale. Can you help us? I have no account since. Yes, I can help you. I can help you. There's a whole walkthrough from not me doing it, but the expert that I know in funnels and ads and running all of it. And he gives a very detailed walkthrough in the course called Building Your Audience. And in Building Your Audience, he really lays it out very specifically what to do and uses MailChimp actually as the example. Okay, so you have the links in there if you guys want to join. It looks like someone just joined. Welcome aboard. Two of you, you have the link there, right? Okay, someone's saying they don't have the link, but it should be there. Here is the link. And again, it's, yeah, and a few questions on how much is it. It's $59 a month with a 30-day guarantee, or you can get it for the year. You have more of a discount. What is a good lead magnet for oil paintings, Amy asks. A lead magnet. Well, you can really be creative in this realm, and that's part of, you know, the Praxis Center. You have ideas, and I have ideas. You can go back and forth to see what's comfortable for you. But for paintings, it's could very well be tips on how to collect art. You know, because remember, you're you know, or the same way a gallery would pitch it, talking about why the art is exciting or something like that. But the default one that I use a lot and suggest people to, and there's the walkthrough in there is on that one, is and even a form that you can use of just tips to collect art. Let's see. But feel free to ask me more. What is the best online shopping cart? I use WordPress with WooCommerce plugin, but it is costly to maintain. Really? Nancy, I don't know. I know some people like WooCommerce and WordPress. I think that is a pretty decent one. I don't use that. I think one of the best ones now, if you just mean for accepting a sale, Thrivecart is powerful. That's what you're using if you buy from me today. You're using Thrivecart. You'll see if you want to sign up, you can do it with PayPal, you could do it with your credit card, you could do it with Apple Pay or Amazon Pay. There's a bunch of things there because how people check out and how people buy is very important. You want a very smooth experience there. So that's Thrivecart. Reiko, can landscape photography from a small volcanic island sell internationally? That's exactly what Peter Lick was selling. You know, landscape photography could sell anywhere in the world. Peter Lick, by the way, was in Hawaii. I want to welcome a few people aboard too. It looks like Stacy and Betsy and Tobias. Welcome aboard, you guys. Good to have you here as members. I look forward to sending you videos about your art and getting right back to you. So yeah, so that would work absolutely. You can sell that kind of work. You got the links. Okay, great. What is my opinion of Saatchi art? Saatchi art is, you know, it's sort of like, I've heard people sell things every now and then through there, and it's okay, but, you know, to have your work on Saatchi, it's better for Saatchi than it is for you. Like you may sell, and this is the best I've heard, without doing much, 1 or 2 things a year, maybe. But if you want to sell more, of course, or you know, have to have links to Saatchi, right, on your signature at the bottom of your page at the very least, or you're sending people there. And if you're spending time and energy, is my feeling, sending people to Saatchi to look at your work and possibly buy it, you're immediately getting them distracted by all the other work on Saatchi, right? They're going to look at your work, but immediately they're going to say, oh, and look at that. Oh, and look at that. Oh, you know, why drive traffic to a website that's selling other people's work as well? You know, so I think it's best if you could do that on your own, like through WooCommerce. Squarespace is a website that has a nice checkout cart, you know, or other ways. You know, and then you're keeping people only on your website. So I see many artists put the price of the art directly on the post. They range from 300 to 3,000. Yeah, some people do. I think that's not the best method, but you can try both too. You can experiment. Put prices on some and not on others. See what people react to. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that you can't experiment all the time, and that's really the idea. Even with Facebook, is experimenting all the time with what you're using. Link to the Facebook group. The Facebook group, Evelyn, that's part of the membership. So it's a private group where I answer all questions. If you want to be in that group, which is really a community, you'll see you post a question, all these other artists will rush to also answer it and support you. It's really wonderful. That's part of the membership, is the community of Praxis. It really is a community. And so if you join, you'll get that link right away. And I want to welcome a few other people aboard. I think it's Terry that just came on. She tells everybody about her life, shares a lot of thoughts. Yeah, maybe you're talking about Ashley Longshore, Timothy. Is it helpful to do videos and how you make art, or is it giving away the goodies? No, I don't think it's giving away the goodies, but I don't, how you make art, I think it'd be easier even to just show them. People don't watch videos much, and usually it's hard to make videos of making art. A time lapse of you making art is kind of cool. I think people like to see those, or just an image of like some part of your art and how you're making it. Like, people often don't know how intaglio prints are made in a press, and to show that process, just with image would be okay. A GIF can be cool too. Videos, I think, are tricky, unless they're under a minute or less. Nobody watches long videos. It's hard to do in this age. Yeah, Timothy. Yeah, right. I think you're talking about Ashley Longshore herself, Several Weekly, but I'll find that out when I get to the bottom. Hector, hello. Thank you for hosting this webinar. How expensive should artwork be as an unknown artist? What is too expensive in this context? Too expensive is something that you can't sell it for. As an unknown artist, there's no rule for where you have to start, but the lower the better, so you can sell it and then go up immediately, right? So, but let's say it's a big painting and you're not going to sell this for $50. Sell it for, you can offer it for 5,000. And if you get someone interested who says, wow, I'd really like this, but I can't afford that, give them a discount. If it's your first sale, whatever you can sell it for is good. And then after that, now you've set a price. After that, they go up by 10%, at least with every sale. After the 30-day money-back guarantee, can you leave anytime, or are you locked in for the duration? You can leave anytime. You are not locked in. It's a monthly commitment. You want to quit anytime, you can quit. That's fine. You're not locked into anything. Emma, so hope to see you there. Having to go through these courses will take me a long time out of my art. Then I still have to do all the work, right? 30 minutes a week is what I'm suggesting, Paula. 30 minutes a week. It does take time. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to build sales with a gallerist or anyone else, there's a certain chunk of your time in getting your materials together if you want grants and other things, but it's valuable. You'll get money from it. But yes, 30 minutes a week is what I suggest. Right, for insistence on your technique. Yeah, that could be good. Can you give me an example of a tip for collecting art? Tips for collecting art, you can Google that, tips for collecting art. You don't have to write it yourself. There's lots written out there about it, and you can paraphrase or talk about some of those tips. There's lots of tips out there. One, if you want, one is that, if you're looking at a bunch of artists' work, I mean, this is a quirky one, but it's one tip to collect art. You pick the piece that's like the weirdest, the one that doesn't fit. So let's say you're looking at an artist's studio and they're a landscape artist, but one of them is a self-portrait, and you say, what about that one? And they say, oh yeah, that wasn't really part of the series. I just did that because I wanted to try that. Buy that one. Go what's not intuitive. You could pick through the rest, but pick the odd one out, because if that artist keeps selling more, you will have a very interesting piece from them that isn't normally available. I think that's an interesting tip, but those aren't the typical tips you'll see out there when you Google it. What if I don't know how much to collect? What if I really don't know much about how to collect art myself? Actually, I don't know almost nothing. Okay, you know almost nothing. How do you find out? You can Google it like any collector would. That's how they feel, like you. What other artists do is you also buy from other artists. I know this sounds crazy, right? You think, why am I going to buy for an artist? I'm not a collector. I've interviewed artists who do this, and they say, look, you want to be part of the collecting world? Get into it. See how difficult it is to buy from an artist and say to them, no, that's too expensive. Then you'll really see what it's like from the other side. And I'm not saying to spend tons of money. You could trade with artists, but see what it's like to collect, to build a collection. That will teach you a lot. How do you suggest, and I want to welcome some people aboard. Who's here? Some people just signed up. Rochelle, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. And Daniel, welcome aboard. That's great. New Mexico and Brooklyn. Great to have you guys aboard. Let me get to more questions. So how do you suggest finding collectors' audience for difficult work, right? Not pretty abstract work. There's always an audience for not just difficult work, but all kinds of difficult work. Is it like, socially, about a social critique? Is it politically aggressive? Is it work that's about very dark subjects? Is it work, all of that has an audience. And the way you find that audience for that specific kind of work, if you think, God, my work's only about, I don't know, suicide or something really dark or mental illness of a certain kind, perhaps, you find other artists that do work like that, and you'll also see where they get support from and what galleries they show in. There's always a network to all of those things. And maybe some of those galleries are also connected to mental health spaces, or, it's amazing the way connections are built pretty quickly. What brings about an artist selling their work for 5, 10, 15, and 20,000, says Miguel. 5, 10, and 20, how do people get that big? It's asking for it, for sure, but also going up in price and feeling confident. It's for sure a confidence game. There's a lot of people who just feel like, I don't know, maybe my art's not worth it. So you have to kind of believe in yourself, be held accountable to always raising your prices too, which means when you sell something for 1,000 or 500, the next piece is more expensive, an original of anything. And you have to ask for it too. That guy who I mentioned earlier in the thing was talking about selling work, and he said he was in a gallery in New York for a while. His name was Rick, and the gallery in New York was selling these small little panel on wood panel. He'd make these kind of figurative drawings, paintings. And the most he could sell them for was $1,200. And when he moved back to Michigan, where he came from, because he wasn't making money in New York and the paintings weren't selling, had a studio there, and someone came to his studio and said, yeah, through your newsletter, I see that one painting. I'd really love it. How much is it? And he said, I thought, what the hell, selling them for $1,200 is worthless. He said, I told him $8,000. And he said, wow, $8,000. I didn't realize it was that much. He said, I really like that one. He said, let me think about it. He said, then the guy came back to him 2 days later, and he said, I'd like to buy it. The guy was like a local minister, right, at the church. He didn't have $8,000. He liquidated an IRA, his retirement fund. It's amazing what people can do. So you could jump, your prices could jump quick. You got to ask for it. He did very well after that. He asked for it, and he thought, wow, I got 8,000. People want it. He began thinking that was the greatest painting he ever made. Also, it's strange things happen with success, but you can keep raising the price. What are some issues to consider if I have gallery representation who also represents my work online? I want to be able to make sales directly, but I don't want to hurt my gallery relationships. Good question. There should be a contract with your gallery. What's the deal? Most galleries do not have an exclusive. Most galleries say, we're exclusive only in this area. Like in an area of town or in a city, you can have another gallery, obviously, in Italy or Spain or something, right? Or Canada or the US. They wouldn't stop you from that. Galleries having an exclusive is super unusual. Very, very rare to see that. So ask them, what's comfortable for them? You have some work you want to sell online, and then what they'll generally say is keep it all the same prices. Don't undersell us. If your gallery has a painting for $1,000, don't sell it online for $500, or you're undermining those collectors. Okay. Well, lots of questions. I don't know if I can get to all of them. I will try to get to all of them. Let me see them all here. Okay. Begin prints or make smaller works on paper, Giclay. Begin prints, something nice that you can sign that looks beautiful. How to find grants? Maybe some sites for artists and designers. You can just Google it for sure. But if you join, I have all the lists organized. There's tons of stuff right now for COVID because all organizations have pooled all their money. And you can certainly just Google it and you'll find some of them. If you want them all organized and support in writing to them, become a member because I have them all organized. But you can just Google that. They're all over the place. Grants for artists, COVID, or whatever. What storefronts are the best? You mean for for selling work, you don't really need a storefront, you know. It could be pretty minimal. So you could have something like Squarespace. You don't really need anything fancy, I don't think. It comes down to making the sale. You know, it's you want the transaction. I always think just look at the checkout cart. How easy is it to check out? Do they give you PayPal and at least and other things? Because if it's just put in your credit card, that's annoying and it takes a while. I want to welcome new people that have come aboard. So let's see. What if I don't have the funds today? Is it possible to join later? You have it to the end of a week. Yeah. Timothy, another is posting small works on Instagram, and those pieces, 6 to 8, are on sale each week at the same time. So 75 to 250 pounds thoughts. Yeah, Timothy, you could do that. You can experiment. I would remember it's best to generate interest too. Your work has to be for sale, but it doesn't have to be a sales blitz like all week long, but that can be good too. I've seen people even do auctions on Facebook and Instagram. Like, I'm auctioning this piece. Starting bid is 99 cents. Just put your bid in the comments. That kind of works, and people can say $1, $2, and you can have a reserve of 50 or 100. They can bid, and then the winning bidder, you just say, I'll inbox you, you know, send you a private message, and we'll work it out. That's good. Sometimes, you know, the sale falls apart at the very end, you know, but that you could do it that way too. There's a lot of things you can do. Okay, I'm interested in joining, but don't have much product available. How do you make this work until you're more available? Just one piece at a time, Paula. You don't need a lot of work. You really don't. And you can start posting other things in your blog and work on a lot of other aspects. Do you recommend selling pieces framed or unframed? Unframed. But Abby Ryan shows them framed or unframed if they're all like small, same size. You can do that. What do I think about artsy? Yeah, artsy can be good. What is your opinion about? Yeah, yeah, those can all be good. Artsy and other platform sites. You have to drive traffic to them, but and again, then you're next to tons of other artists, so there's that. But they're all good sites and they're selling work. Yeah, I do take payment plans. Kubik, check it out. It's $59 a month. You can do it monthly. Barbara. Oops, didn't mean to send question twice. Did you send it twice? If I haven't got your question, you can ask, but I may not. I don't know if I'll get to all of these. There's another 60. Well, I'll get to everything I can. Okay, where would I post or share info regarding how to buy or collect? Post or share the info regarding how to buy or collect art. Well, on Facebook, Twitter, other mediums like that. Exactly. How do you get good prices to ship? Well, when you're an individual and not a large company, it's the same thing for large companies. Shipping prices for art are expensive if you're creating a canvas. If you're rolling it up, it's cheaper. You know, that's all. You have to be inventive about how the work gets there. Sometimes it's cheaper for artists if they're a painter and they have a show in another country. Just make the work there because it's so expensive to ship unless you can fold a canvas, roll it up, or a paper piece. That's, you know. You're welcome, and welcome aboard, everybody who's signing up. Great to have you here. All this stuff is getting involved in. This was okay. My work is relatively large, not small enough to pack in a small box. Is this membership going to advise me? Yes, absolutely. There are plenty of people that are doing. And there's the link. People keep asking, where's the link? There are plenty of people that have large work. Okay. Let me see. You guys see everybody? No, you're just seeing my questions, right? My links. Okay. For all this stuff describing, okay. I have many paintings based on my emotions. I don't always plan ahead what I want to make. And yeah, and Janice, yes, that it would help you. Paintings aren't about being small enough to pack in a box. So there's people who are installation artists working in all kinds of medium in praxis. I make paintings based on emotions, don't always plan ahead what I want to make. And when I make them, I feel okay about some of them, but others love it. Some paintings I love, but the reaction is different. I go up and, yeah, but you're afraid to committing because of getting mixed responses. Yeah, that's practice makes perfect. You know, that's the mantra. it's not easy. It's not easy to sell art, to be an artist, to even show work to people. It all takes a lot of guts. And the more you do it, the better you'll feel. But it takes a lot of guts. Yeah. Great, Rochelle. That's right. Just joined. It's time to commit. Yes, Rochelle, I agree. And that's it, everybody. If you can spare 30 minutes a week and you want to commit to this, things will happen. It's just how it works. Thanks for this. I've been watching your talks numerous times. I just never heard the exchange rate is going up. Okay, so I'm going to take the risk and see my success. Great. Welcome aboard, Bridget. Do I have an opinion about ArtDex? All of these things. I mean, there's no website that I'm really I look down on, or I don't think they do it well. I just think that websites that sell your work or are designed for that are generally overrated, because including all the fancy platforms like Artsy, they're all good, but you can do it much simpler and much cheaper by driving traffic to your own site. A sale isn't that complex. And you don't really want to send people to everybody else's art, right? Because that's what happens when they go to Saatchi or Artsy or all these places. Okay, I have a lot of curating experience. Hey, Joanne, glad to hear that. The NYAA a long time ago. Great to hear. So glad you're going to join. Thanks, Joanne. Welcome aboard. A lot of curating experience, helped a lot of artists, but now I'm starting to help myself in my own work. I want to join Praxis and pull on you. Is that okay? Yeah, Lynn, of course. Join Praxis. You have questions and you can ask, and I can give you personal feedback in the group. I also do it through a video, so absolutely, that can work for you. I look forward to seeing you there. Lise, right? Yes. Yes, we could work out. You could even give maybe a talk or something on curating or something. We can talk about that. I've you can send me an email. If I missed your question, by the way, you can always reply with an email. I have a high-end gallery, a letter and high-res examples of my work just before a pandemic got in the reply that says just lovely. Well, yeah, you got a dialogue going. That's great. This is the time, man, to keep that dialogue going. Because they're all getting back in business and they're still selling work to collectors. So that's great to hear. And how do you sell artwork to people who know you, friends who never thought about buying your work without offending them? Good question. How do you sell work to friends or people that love your work without offending them? They need to know that it is for sale, because they may have wanted to buy it for a while now and can't because they don't know how. So they need to know that it is for sale. So you don't have to tell them directly, but you can be posting it on your social media and other places, even if it's just, these are 3 new available paintings. If you're interested in buying one of these, please contact me. And it's just on social media, but then they'll know, especially if you do it regularly. What next in that note? I forgot what that referred to, Anne. One of the artists I mentioned who posts and sells big on Big Cartel at the same time is Kathy Cullis. She's in the UK. Kathy Cullis. Let me write that down. Always good to see new people doing things in new ways. Kathy Cullis, UK. Okay, I'll check that out. Any online recommendations of where to do quality prints? There's a lot of places, but the problem with just any online place to do prints is you want to see the print. If you can work with a local printer, that's best. And I know they don't automate it usually and everything like an online printer will, but it's hard to see you have to first get the print, buy the print yourself, because the quality varies, and work varies depending on the color of your work, the medium. All kinds of print processes work differently. Welcome aboard. A few more people. I just want to say hi and so glad to have you here. I want gallery representation. Would you recommend reaching out to them now? Yes, you could reach out to them now. Cold emails. There's templates in Praxis Center for reaching galleries. Absolutely, they're all working out a number of ways. Not difficult art. Abstraction is a visual language that is intensely difficult for patrons. Yeah, that's true. No, abstract art can be as difficult as art that's, say, politically aggressive or something. How big a painting to demand a high value? Miguel, it doesn't have to be very big to demand a high value. It's not really about the size in paintings, for sure. How do you recommend for using when shipping? I found it to be pricey. All different places, and of course it depends whether you're going international or not. I asked earlier if you show the limited editions tiered pricing to collectors. Yes, absolutely. You showed them the tiered pricing. Absolutely. That's what helps them to buy now instead of come back in a week when now you're in the next tier because 4 prints have been sold. Absolutely. That's the sell, really. UPS will pack and bill the client directly, right? That's good, Rochelle. That's right. An easy answer to the shipping question. I asked earlier if you, yeah, so I got that. I have 2 very close but similar businesses. One is a painter and the other is that I'm a gilder. As a trade, I put gold on my art. Do I need these 2 websites to funnel my buyers to a certain website? I'd rather have just one website so that it's less to manage. Can clientele be both people who buy my art and also attract my service as a gilder? Yes, absolutely. I don't know. Often I'd say it's good to have 2 websites, right? But in your case, you know, gilding using gold leaf, that is such a cool process. Gilding, and if you're using that in your art, that's so that's unusual, right? There's not that other artists don't use it. Certainly, they have, but some better than others, and it sounds like you're kind of masterful at it. So make one website, I would suggest. I'd love to help you with it if you want to join, and have on that one website be both your process, and your blog should, by the way, be about your process as a gilder and as an artist. So they imagine you sent a different blog post every week. One was about gilding, one was about being an artist, but they're both together. You can get clients for gilding and show that you just gilded, I don't know, an object or whatever you do commercially, and also show how you put it on your painting. Different posts. So the same people that buy your art know that you gild. The same people that commission you to gild can buy your art. I am getting to all the questions. Great. So how do you develop an Instagram social media following? I hope that answered your question. So one website, Rachel. I hope you're joined. Your art sounds great. How do you develop an Instagram social media following if you're a slow producer? It takes me about a month to finish a painting. You show work in progress is the way to do it, because that's a way of bringing people into your medium, so you can show work in progress. And you can also talk about other things, not just your art. Shows you've seen, drawings that you've done, other things related to it, but not your art itself. Then you could post every day. Thanks so much. I understand more things. Now we have more ideas. So I'm so glad. So people are saying a lot of nice things. Thank you all for saying all those nice things, and welcome aboard, everybody who's here. And I really look forward to, I don't know, to sending you a first video. You'll get a video from me, and we'll look forward to seeing your art. You see how people do such interesting things. We just heard from someone who gilds and paints, and I mean, wouldn't you like to see that? Isn't that kind of cool? And there's other artists that are doing interesting things. You'll see in the Zoom studio visits. That's so cool. And you can ask about mediums and. Okay, I need to get okay. Can we ask questions if the situation is somewhat different? Experienced New York City artist working as assistant for a well-known artist? Absolutely. I've done work for well-known artists myself. I worked for the Starn Twins for a while in their studio, a few other people. Bianca Jagger, she's not an artist, but I did a bunch of assistant jobs for very well-known people, and those well-known people can be of use if you know what to ask them. So, Galaxy, no, that was, who was that? You can write me an email if you can't write it here. That was from Charisse, I think, right? Charisse, write to me if you want. What about the copywriter and social media copywriting? Well, generally you can do your own. If you need to, you can hire somebody on anything from Fiverr to what's the other one? Upwork, or there's a lot of freelance sites where you can hire copywriters, but you can do it yourself easily. Just use your voice, the way you're talking. Is having a problem setting up my website. Do you have any question who is good to help me to set up your website? Depending on what it is, you hire freelancers online and make sure that they've had tons of hours work doing what they're doing. Make a template website like Squarespace, not WordPress, where you could lose control of it because it's on their server. Get Squarespace, and if you want someone to set it up for you, set it up. And then you can do it yourself or hire them to do more. Again, Upwork is a service I use a lot. Upwork, it's a freelance service where you can post a job, but review the people that are going to do it. If someone's going to do your website and they're going to do the whole thing for not much money, see how many hours they've logged and their ratings. It's all there on Upwork. It'll walk you through it. Upwork to get help for your website. Okay, just registered. Great, Paula. Welcome aboard, but didn't get an email feedback or instructions to start. You should get the email shortly, in just a few moments. Thank you for everything, Brainerd. Are any of your members collectors or curators? As a member, can members see each other's work? You can see each other's work, yeah. There's an Instagram follow there. You'll meet more people, and yeah, absolutely. Can you talk about selling art for artists who doesn't do 2D work? It's the same process, whether you're an installation artist or a sculptor or doing virtual work. Let's see, just registered. Okay, yeah, you'll get that, Paula. Unless you put in like the wrong email or something, you should get things shortly. All right, if you remember, yeah. Can you talk about, okay, I have about 700 followers on Facebook. Most of them opted in. But Facebook shows my posts only to 12 to 18 of them, as far as I understand. So no, the way you get posts out on your Facebook pages, even if you have 1,000 or 10,000 followers, right, your posts, they don't see it all. You have to boost the posts and basically run ads to your page. That's how Facebook makes money. But I wouldn't suggest that. You might as well really make those boosts pay by posting something on your Facebook page and have it generate emails or interest. Copywriting your photos so they won't be taken off. Yeah, copywriting photos so they won't be taken off. Yeah, people do different things to copyright their photos. It's the internet is kind of wild in that way. You can of course always screenshot something from a screen, but your images aren't high res, hopefully, on the internet, so that it makes it much harder to copy to steal them. Okay. Yeah. When I click on the confirm, it says you can't find what? Oh, you should find it. If there's any issues with you guys, yeah, signing up, let me know. But yeah, you'll see. It should be fairly straightforward. If anybody has any questions, problems, email me. You can just reply to any of the emails, and I'll get right back to you. As soon as I'm done with this talk, which is in just a moment, I'll reply to any emails. So Janice, send me an email if you're having problems. I'll send you another link. And yeah, thank you guys. I'm getting a lot of you saying such nice things. I really appreciate that. And here is the link because you're asking for that too. Whoops, no, this is it. That one should work. Stay safe, all the things that everybody says now. Enjoy yourself, right? What's happening now in COVID, one of the oddest things is also that artists are experiencing it in a different way. It's not that artists aren't scared or anxious, all of that, but there's something you can actually do now. If you're not an artist, it's hard to know what to do. So for artists, there's a lot of support right now. It's a pretty interesting time. People are making work more often now. Artists are talking more, and there's an enormous amount of resources out there for artists. We have access to the presentation afterwards. Yeah, I will send a video of this. And if you didn't get all the links, here is everything. This is the book that that's the link to join, the slide deck of this whole webinar and the book. And if this recorded, which I hope it did, you'll also get a recording of this whole session. Okay, everyone. Again, I wish you safety and productivity, and as well as for all your friends and loved ones. Thinking of all of you, and look forward to seeing all of you on a studio visit, because that's really exciting. If you're members, otherwise, I'm so glad you attended today. Thanks so much, and be well, everyone. Thank you.